Welcome back to Life is Strange 2. To the world of Life is Strange.
Right.
Where life
is strange.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to cut you off and say that. That's kind of funny.
Okay. Well, we gotta understand how strange life is.
Right. And hey, Flask, I'm feeling great. You know why? There's two reasons I'm feeling great. One,
Yeah.
it's Friday night.
You
Number
post
two,
the Yakuza 1 hour Friday night thing every Friday now.
You know what's funny? I feel like a fraud now because I started doing that, and it's kind of funny for me because I actually do like listening to that when I get home from work.
Okay.
Then I can't remember if it's this video or if it's another version of this song. I saw there's a YouTube comments where a guy does that. Like every week he's like, "Hey, it's Friday, my dudes. It's Friday, my dudes." You know what I mean?
You know, you can share that with him.
I guess. And number two, the reason why I'm excited is because we're talking about my favorite video game, Life is Strange 2. Which, Flask, you kind of, you weren't liking it as much, so I ended up finishing episodes 4 and 5.
Now hold on.
Right,
Hold on.
Sorry, listeners, that was a classic bit.
Stop that. Flip it and reverse it. It's actually I who played through the last 2 episodes of Life is Strange 2 because Andy over there didn't want to finish them, understandably, because they were boring.
Well, okay. Yeah.
Why in your own words, what happened?
All right, well, it's a long story, but we got time. Flask, you have 2 episodes of footage. It all started way back when we played Life is Strange. And by we played, I mean you had already played it, and then you had recommended it to me. And then did you watch me play every episode? Or maybe you missed the first episode, I think. I can't remember, but whatever. Point is, you watched me. You know, it was a fun experience, the two of us playing through it together.
Right.
Especially because I really liked Life is Strange 1. It was a good game. It had a great story. Unique, cool mechanics. I mean, of the many Telltale-like games, and, you know, I'll be honest with you, listeners, I haven't played some of the more recent ones or the ones that people say are really good. Of the many Telltale-like games, at least at the time it came out, I thought it was the best. You know what I mean?
I would say that's accurate.
I love that game. And so Life is Strange 2 came out, and Flask and I were both definitely going to play it. We had played the interquel, Captain Spirit, and, you know, we just thought, would it be fun if, like, I just watched Flask play it and then we recorded it for the channel? But, man, just episodes 1 to 3 just weren't, to put it plain and simple, they just weren't good.
Yeah, they drained you a bit.
The pacing was really off. The pacing was really bad. You know, I hate to be so critical and like just sound so reductive of it, but the one sentence summary would be something along the lines of, it's a story game where nothing about the story is really that good. And
I think we had some interesting conversations about it, but that doesn't save the games themselves from from elevating above that, you know.
Sure, I think it was worth it. I think it was worth playing out the first few episodes at least, just to see what they were doing and like what the thing was. But it just, there were points where like me and you like were literally calling plot hooks and like stuff like that. And then you remember that there was that one episode where like for the first scene we're like, oh, we know exactly what's going to happen in this episode, and then it was just 2 hours of us playing it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And it just wasn't all that interesting, and the characters weren't that interesting. And I'm not saying that you have to have powers in a Life is Strange game. I mean, I think it is a hallmark of the series or whatever. But I'm saying that the power aspect of the game has never been as uninteresting as it is in Life is Strange 2, in my opinion. Just the way they handled it. A lot of stuff where, like, there's a lot of hidden information that you know the whole time, so it just gets annoying, you know, etc. I could go on and on, but I feel like just for the sake of brevity, I'll just cut it there. The point is, I was not into the narrative, and it made the whole experience just drag on for me.
I think I did write a note,
and that's not really specific, and we can get in more into specifics as Flask and I discussed the last couple episodes. But
right, I think I did write a note down near the end of my playing through all the episodes that I kept hoping that it would somehow save itself from mediocrity,
like do something cool.
The whole power thing, like it never. The first game, honestly, was carried in the gameplay department by the cool power mechanic, and I don't think Life is Strange 2. I don't think it came anywhere close to being as fun to play, and it's just because of that, like.
I think that's a huge part of it. Like the first game had such an interesting, it's reductive to call it a gimmick, but maybe a hook or like a major mechanic, a main mechanic. You know what I'm trying to say? It was so unique in gameplay that when they went back to Life is Strange 2 and it plays much more like a traditional Telltale game, it really is somewhat. You could see it being made around the same time as The Walking Dead and play exactly like it. Telltale's Walking Dead, you know what I mean?
They wanted to focus on the story. The story is what's important to them.
But, it's little things like, it's hard to talk about because it's little things like in the first episode when the father is killed.
Right.
And, the way it's done, it's trying to comment, I think, on, like, police and minorities. Of course it is. But the cop is framed as, the way I remember it at least, he was not framed necessarily as like a quote unquote bad guy. He just made a mistake. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I don't know. It's trite. It was a ridiculous situation. That what I just said is overall a minor complaint compared to just how ridiculous and contrived the situation that thrusts forward in the plot is. You know what I mean? It's insane. And you can see with how it's framed exactly what the story is going to be about. And I'm not saying that's a good thing. Like, you can predict most of the beats of the story, I think, to a certain... Well, maybe that's not fair to say. I haven't played the last couple of games. I'll stop it there. I don't want to get ahead of myself.
Are you ready for some surprises, my friend?
Yeah, let's talk about the games.
So, just to recap the first 3 episodes. Basically, the first episode is the happy family life with the father and the 2 sons, and then the father gets killed in a stupid, accident with the police. Policeman also gets killed by Daniel accidentally using his telekinesis powers. And then they go on the run, and the rest of the episode is about them being on the run and encountering bad and good people. And you kind of expect that. We kind of saw that as like, okay, that's what they're going to be doing. They're going to run into good and bad people on the road. That's what they want to do. Second episode, it's winter, and they've still been hiding out. And then they end up going to meet their grandparents, their estranged mother's parents, and they stay with them for a while. They meet, what's his name? Chris, Captain Spirit, next door. They get involved in his life a little bit. They briefly meet Cassidy and Finn, 2 homeless kids on the road themselves. Mm-hmm. And inevitably, the cops track them down because of some shenanigans out and about with Daniel, and they have to go on the run again. Not, that's what happens in that episode.
Right.
And episode 3 is they happen to meet back up with Cassidy and Finn, and Cassidy and Finn invite them to this weed farm in California.
Yes. Okay. Now it's coming back.
No, not California. No, there's redwoods, so it must be California.
It is. I've got the thing up. It's California. Humboldt.
Okay,
County.
yeah. And it's run by a strict but not bad guy, and mostly the episode is about just hanging out with this group of what would you call them? Hippies? No, like outsider
vagrants, right?
Vagrants, yeah, outsider vagrant type people.
Wayward vagrants.
Yeah, wanderers of the world.
Wanderers, yes.
And eventually, of course, first of all, you can sort of get have relationship things with either Cassidy or Finn, and we went with Cassidy because that seemed like the stronger thing. And also in retrospect, it's much more like real than the thing would have been with Finn, but we'll get to that.
Yep.
And eventually, of course, Finn, the cool guy, after learning about Daniel's powers, gets Daniel in on a heist plan to steal money from the Weed Lord. And Weed Lord catches everybody, and Daniel's powers cause a big explosion. And that's where we end the episode with the aftermath of the explosion. I don't think I missed anything important from episode 3. Clipping buds for a while. Clipping buds for a while.
Oh, right. I remember. I think I was raging at that. That sounds like something I would get annoyed at.
Yes.
Like, seriously? They're going to make me do this in a game made now? Come on.
It's supposed to impart the monotony onto the player.
Hey, look, I'm just saying, games are too good now to get away with stuff like that.
Although you can do creative stuff like that.
I think you can.
There's an example from What Remains of Edith Finch that's actually pretty good. That uses that kind of thing, but in a much better way.
And I know your model may vary, but like the elephant in the room for me is Red Dead 2. Kind of like lives on moments like that in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? And I think Red Dead 2 manages to make it super engaging. You know, whether or not that lasts the whole game is apparently a controversy, but
well, they want to in this game they want to give you the choice to either be a good boy or a bad boy who talks to people.
Yeah, right.
Anyway,
the people aren't that interesting, so like, why would you talk to them?
No.
Except
I didn't really want to talk to them if you recall.
Except because of video gamey reasons, you know what I mean? Because you have to.
Yes. I didn't really want to talk to anybody, if you recall, too much.
Yes, I remember. Me and you are both compelled in games like these, and it's neither one of us are doing this for the other. I think we both play games like this. We have to click everything. We have to talk to everybody. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You don't want to miss anything.
Yeah, I have that feeling, but in this case, I didn't care.
Right, I get you.
So going into episode 4, we left Sean basically on the floor, injured. So after the big explosion, shootout at the weed farm, we go forward 2 months, and Sean's in the hospital. He's under arrest, and he's missing one of his eyes. Apparently, a shard of glass embedded itself in his left eye, and he lost his eye.
See, that to me, you just described the ending of the game. Like, that's got to be the ending. But I know it's not.
It's got to be the ending. It's the start of episode 4.
Because I know it's not. We've only talked about this for like 5 minutes.
Right. Yeah. So no one knows where Daniel is, and the rest of the people are scattered to the 4 corners. Detective comes to interrogate Sean, and I just chose the options that straight up sold Finn down the river, because fuck that guy for getting Daniel involved in his little heist. I was just like, yeah, it was Finn's fault.
So the cops are like, yeah, of course we can let you go, even though you might be a murderer.
she uncuffs you right there. Okay, well, it's Finn's fault. So, and she also says that Sean is being brought back to Seattle to stand trial for the murder of the police officer, which, as we've said before, is insane, as they have no evidence of any kind, and the death in question was completely unprecedented and like mysterious. So even if they did that, I don't see how they could possibly convict him of anything for that crime, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
But Sean is still, of course, worried about it, even though there's nothing that they can pin on him. So Sean finds a note in his notebook from Jacob, who was one of the weed bros from the previous episode. He's the kind of quiet kid, basically hinting that he took Daniel back to the religious commune he was from in Nevada for whatever reason, and to come get him.
Right.
So he was the guy who was like, I said, I got away from this religious community and, went on the road.
What's his name?
Jacob.
Oh, very poignant. I definitely won't forget that.
So Sean decides, based on that he has to escape, which of course the game makes you do. I chose the least bad option of escaping, I think, which was just like
Well,
what?
I was just gonna ask what that was.
Oh yeah. Just it makes you eliminate worse possibilities until you activate the better one, which is just going out the window. You have to like decide not to do some worse ones to get to the better one. So you're not like knocking anybody out or anything. You're just breaking out of the window.
So I'm sorry. That's the best option. But what did you do?
I went out the window. I was able to eliminate enough bad possibilities to get out the window.
Okay, I get you.
The game directs you towards the bad options. Yeah. It makes you think your only option is to like do some ninja shit to get out of there.
That's kind of funny, actually.
Yeah. On the way out, you see that Finn is also in the same hospital, and you can either wake him up or keep escaping. And I swear I punched the keep escaping prompt like it was a QTE. I just hammered it.
Now tell me what this. Maybe we're gonna get to this, but did you agree with the majority of the player base there? I'm just curious.
I don't know if you
recorded your stats.
I believe the majority, if I remember correctly, woke him up and then forgave him.
Well, that's what you do if you're a good
guy. I'm a paladin, so I must do that.
You're just not a good guy. You're chaotic evil.
I hold a grudge for, the whole making me lose an eye thing.
What an asshole.
Yeah. Anyway, Sean steals a car, adding an actual crime to his rap sheet.
Adding a real thing that is illegal to the things he hasn't done.
Yes. So you head to Nevada, and on the way there, he stops to get some rest by the side of the road, and of course, during the night.
Wait, I'm sorry. We got to back up 10 steps.
Yeah.
So was he handcuffed, and did the detective actually unhandcuff him?
Oh no, he wasn't handcuffed. There was a guard posted at the door. That's all.
Shitty guard, but okay. Sorry, go ahead. We've exited the hospital. We've stolen a car.
Yes, and we're headed to Nevada. And during the night, you stop to get some rest, and of course, a couple of redneck yahoos come out of nowhere and just harass him for being on their property and for being Mexican.
They're everywhere on the way to Nevada. Everywhere. Listeners, if you're from Nevada, fuck you.
They're immigrant-seeking missiles. Immigrant-seeking missiles. I'm not an immigrant. Well, you look like one.
So it doesn't happen because of narrative reasons they're put into these folks.
No.
They just happen upon them.
You just pull out to the middle of nowhere desert side of the road, and they find you and harass you for being on their property and also Mexican.
It's just maybe you're allowed to do one of those stunts, one of those acts of God, a story. I don't know. I'm no critic or whatever, but that just feels like the only fucking
trick in the bag
they have. Yeah, the only trick they have is that something random happens.
Yeah.
I guess the only predictive thread is like Daniel's powers fuck everything up, but then they use that over and over too. It's like what's going to fucking happen the whole game.
Yeah, I mean it's not unrealistic. It's just for a game, it's like okay.
I'm starting to feel like
keeps happening.
It's just I get that they didn't want to just do a story where they iterate on the same location over and over again, but maybe they should have just done that. I know that
iterate on Life is Strange 1.
Well, no, I'm just saying like the episode structure, like Life is Strange 1. Like one of the things that gave it a lot of life and continuity and made it easier for quote unquote coincidences like that to happen is that every episode just kept iterating on the same location and the same characters. So like it wasn't just Max growing; it was all these people around her growing throughout the episodes, and then like the location too. You kind of like track that, and that was like narrative threads for you to hang your hat on and keep you going. This game is like, I don't know, just random shit happens, and like, okay, I guess they're gonna do this plot trope now, so I know what the next half hour, 2 hour of my gameplay is going to be now.
Yep,
it's not gonna.
I feel like what they wanted to do is the opposite of what you're saying. They wanted to have it so that you only meet characters briefly and they can be good or bad. And it's like, here's life on the road, here's all the people you might meet and what they might be like, instead of building characters up over all the episodes.
Right, but the problem is, I think, is that every single character you meet has to be somehow extremely relevant to your personal journey when whatever this journey is. You know what I mean? So it's not just like you're meeting these folk and like, oh, this guy was interesting. Oh, cool. Wow. It's not like you're just, meeting random people and like walking away and like you're thinking about those people 2 episodes from now. You know what I mean? It's like, no, those people got to be a part of your story for some reason. I don't know. Right. It's like I'm finding a lot of words to say that I just feel like it was contrived in like a way that is transparent and feels bad to play.
I think that's a good way to put it. It is kind of transparent what they're doing.
Right.
So yeah, one guy is of course being aggressive and trying to humiliate Sean. But I chose the options that were sort of in between giving in and provoking him. So naturally that gets Sean beat up. But I didn't seem to lose anything for it, nothing permanent. So the other guy just sort of sends Sean on his way.
Right.
Because of course you got one guy who's like, Mexican, speaks, sing in Spanish for me. The other guy's like, what are you doing, Chad? I don't want to be here.
Right, exactly. Like he just, you can understand why he's there. He's just going along with his pal. He sees how bad of a guy his pal really is.
Yeah. Get out of here, kid. So eventually we run out of gas and we get picked up by a trucker who the game is clearly trying to make me nervous about. It's like specifically showing me things in his cab that are supposed to make me nervous about, is he going to be racist too? So I decide to trust him implicitly and completely because, as predicted, he's actually a nice guy and it's fine.
Of course. Wow.
I was like, wait, they're trying way too hard.
Hey, man, it's the opposite of what you thought.
Yeah. Subversion.
Now that takes toke. No, that's some fucking story right in.
I just like ate his sandwich. I was like, thanks, mister. So you eventually get to the church, which is called Haven Point, I believe. And they're holding a sermon. And the Reverend Mother, who's the Reverend of the church, is one of those God talk to me, I'm special people. She's one of those, like, since she was a child, God has spoken to her, so she runs this church, So Sean speaks to a little sick girl who's actually turns out to be Jacob's little sister. And yeah. And Sean does reunite with Daniel, but the Reverend Mother is also there. Daniel apologizes for the farm incident and for Sean's eye, but I basically went for the most, not saying it wasn't partially your fault, but I do forgive you option that I could. I didn't want to say like, oh, no, Daniel, because he did like,
right.
He did go for the heist and cause the explosion and everything like that. But I tried to forgive him for it. Of course, at that point, the Reverend sends Daniel out for a minute to have a chat with Sean, which starts pretty low key. It just seems like she's feeling Sean out, but I must have chosen an option that the game never expected or something. Maybe I was more reasonable than the game anticipated anyone to be, because the scene goes from 0 to 60 and she just starts acting like Sean's a criminal and Sean starts acting like she's crazy. And then she does this weird...
Oh my God.
She does this weird like feint where she throws herself to the ground and bloodies her own nose. So basically to trick Daniel when he returns into thinking that Sean attacked her. And I'm just like, can we have a conversation? Do we have to go right for the drama, like immediate? It's seriously, it's like a switch.
She's doing this. She's doing this to 2 children.
Yeah,
like she's coming up with these like fucking God.
Yeah,
why? This is not how people act. Even crazy people.
Like religious people, they're crazy. So of course Daniel's like, Sean, just go. I belong here.
So glad.
And you're so glad you didn't play it.
Yes, I'm so glad I did not play this game.
And the Reverend's muscle throws Sean out. Yes, she has muscle. Then out of nowhere, Karen shows up right at that moment. Karen being Sean and Daniel's mother.
What?
Yeah,
I knew.
she just
I
shows
knew
up.
we were going to meet her. I knew we were going to meet her. Of course, we were going to meet her. But God,
So apparently,
I was giving them the benefit of the doubt. I figured it would be like Daniel runs away to Karen's house thing, and like
Right.
Sean has to go track him down. But she just shows up.
yes. Apparently, Jacob sent her a letter at some point. Because Daniel knew... Okay, so Daniel knew her P.O. box from...
Right.
From
That's
episode
that's
2.
why. That's why I thought Daniel was going to run away, and then.
Yeah.
Man, that would have been a better
So-
story, I think.
Yeah, Jacob found out from Daniel and then sent her a letter basically saying, Daniel's in trouble. I put him in trouble. Please come rescue him. So she takes Sean back to a motel, and they end up having a conversation, as you'd expect. I forget if we called this in a previous session, but they go for what is, in my opinion, the right angle, I would say, for Karen's character, which is that she's not special. She doesn't have some secret reason for leaving.
She's just a normal lady.
Yeah, she could, I think we probably speculated, like, she could have been like Daniel or something like that, where she has some secret power or something that caused her need to leave. But I think it is the right move to just have her be, she just couldn't stand being a wife and mother. That's what she says. The whole life expected of her, so she just selfishly bailed on her family. Like, she just treats it matter-of-factly, like she's not proud of it, but she's at peace with it. To an extent, she treats it like it's just something that needed to happen for her life. Like she was just doing the right thing for herself, even if it hurt others. But she doesn't seem remorseful necessarily, aside from the fact that she does love her. Apparently, she says she loves her, her sons, and she still loved the father or her husband. But to her, it's like it was so matter of fact. It was just what needed to happen.
That just sounds. I don't like that. I mean,
you mean for the game or for her character?
Like, okay, I get that the life expectant thing, and like how much that sucks. But like, people don't really do that. Like, if you genuinely love everybody around that you're around, I feel like you do need a reason to leave. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, I agree.
Like there needs to be a driving force, not just I felt like I needed to because of the way society treats women. That's just a signal and a contrived character to make her a good person, but also a way.
Yeah, I think the game. It's hard to tell, but I think the game is trying to frame her as not a good person. The game does give you a lot of ammo to sort of call her out on it after she explains herself. It's fairly thorough, actually. So I think the game understands that what she did was not good.
I see. So that's the way she framed it. Okay, maybe I misunderstood some of what you said. Okay,
Yeah.
I get
No,
you.
I just think you're right. I just think the game understands that as well.
I get you. Okay.
Though they also have that problem of not really telling you what you're saying until you say it. Like, I specifically noted that down, that I was kind of frustrated during that sequence. It's nothing new, of course, but they give you like a couple words, and then that's supposed to inform what Sean is going to launch into the next. Of course. It's like I would really love to be able to see the full extent of what I'm going to be saying to her.
Right.
So yeah, it's just her and Sean just discussing this and her reasons for having left all those years ago. I think it's pretty well handled. Like it gives you enough options to handle it well, and definitely I went for the calling her out on it options, because I did not think what she did was in any way okay.
Rational, right?
And I do think it's funny that for Sean, you couldn't ask for a more cutting comeuppance for parental abandonment than her just like re-entering their lives only to find out, okay, husband got shot and killed, older son got kicked to shit for months and lost an eye, and younger son got abducted by a cult. Right.
That is a pretty heavy load to drop.
Yeah, she's like, oh shit, like, well, this is this is the furthest we've come from my actions. And you can also have Sean point out that Daniel always harbored doubts that he was the reason she left the family, just to dig the knife in further. You can say, like, Daniel thought maybe you left because of him. That's gotta hurt.
Of course.
Anyway, Sean and Karen have to team up to rescue Daniel.
Of course.
I chose to be sort of, cutting in a non-snotty way and still, agree to help or agree to do that team up. Although you can't not do it. I'm just saying, like, I chose to be like, okay, we do have to work together. It's important to mention that Karen buys Sean an eye patch, so now he's solid Sean.
All right, I'm liking Sean now. He's a better character for sure.
Wow, Sean just went up. He
definitely gained a few points in esteem.
Yeah. They made up with Jacob, who explains sort of why he brought Daniel there. It's kind of bizarre because he seems to recognize that the cult is dangerous, and he says that Daniel's just what Reverend Lisbeth was always looking for, but he doesn't really explain why he still brought Daniel there, aside from that he was scared. Like, if you knew that, why did you bring him there when you knew the whole situation?
Right.
But they needed to fill episode 4 with Daniel becoming being in a cult, so that's why.
I love how they spelled that out for me.
So Sean and Daniel go in to the compound, the church compound, and they're going to get both Daniel and Jacob's sister, because she is sick, as I said, and the Reverend won't allow her to get treatment, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So you do a little breaking and entering, and I wrote this in my notes. There's a picture of Jesus that is labeled religious icon when you investigate it, so as not to offend anyone, I guess. It's really weird. There's a picture of Jesus, and it's clearly Jesus, but it says religious icon. I just thought it was funny. Non-denominational Messiah.
Yikes.
You find some dirt on the Reverend, just like various stuff about what she's been up to, and then you go and get Daniel. There's a bit of like sleuthing at that point. You really are solid Sean at that point, because you're doing a bit of hide and seek with the muscle guy and breaking in, getting files and stuff like that.
Daniel, why are we still here? Just to suffer?
Apparently.
That's me. That's me playing through episodes 1 through 3.
Yes, yeah. So you do a big confrontation climax with Daniel and the Reverend Lisbeth, and Karen is also there. And Daniel is predictably a little shit who got indoctrinated really fast. So after 2 months, he's now like actively choosing this crazy lady over his own brother and mother. Oh, and he even TK throws Sean across the room. It's a little much. And Karen gets in some stuff about being there to help and being sorry and wanting to reconnect. Then Sean's turn to have a bunch of different dialogue to try and convince Daniel. You can use some of the ammo that you picked up during the sneaking mission, like the Lisbeth stuff that you found. And using that seemed to work pretty effectively in my case. Basically, it feels like the Reverend has so little ground to stand on in convincing Daniel that it seems silly to even have a debate. Like, obviously, Sean has all the ammunition in any sort of fight over Daniel. All she has is like, but you're the chosen one, Daniel. God. They just have Daniel stand there shell-shocked while Sean gets the shit kicked out of him by the church muscle guy.
Of course, Sean's got to get punished even more.
Yeah, and so Sean is like doing his best impression of a shonen protagonist, where he never ever gives up. He keeps standing up for his brother, literally standing up. And you have to mash A about 4 or 5 different times while the church burns around them. The church is also on fire by this point.
Oh, of course. It has to
be. Yeah. And seriously, it's so long. It goes on so long. Daniel's just standing there in awe of Sean's sheer determination. But you finally are able to convince Daniel, who says he was just confused. And he TK throws the muscle, who's holding a gun to Sean's head by this point. with the Reverend telling him to shoot him. Lisbeth tries to get in their way to stop them from leaving the burning room, like she's just going to get them all killed. And you get a big choice there. I assumed you could kill her with the goon's gun. Like, you can pick up the gun or have Daniel fuck her up even more. But I managed an option where he just pushes her out of the way. He just pushes her aside with his mind, and they leave without further incident. So everyone's alive at the end of that sequence, but I'm pretty sure you can make it so not everyone's alive.
Yikes.
And the ending ends with Jacob and his sister parting off, going their own way, while Karen, Daniel, and punished Sean drive into the sunset. That's episode 4.
Yikes.
Mostly about rescuing, quote unquote, Daniel from a cult because he's being a little shit and won't just come with his brother. Some choice results, I should say, that I found interesting. Most people ratted out Finn for the robbery. Because fuck Finn.
Of course. That is cool.
The majority of people didn't hurt anyone escaping the hospital. And especially what kind of person would you have to be to hurt the friendly nurse who only wants to help Sean? There's a guy who's like his friend there. You can bash him over the head. Almost nobody did that.
That's a guy who's like just playing a bad run, right? Like
yeah. Evil Sean. 90% of players hitchhiked with the trucker, which I found surprising because you can choose not to. You can just walk to the compound. But most players were just like, fuck it. I'm getting in the truck.
That's interesting.
93% of players tried to let Karen...
What I'm hearing is that a lot of the choices were overwhelming on one side, which is not something you want to see.
Right. Oh, yeah, okay. So 93% of players tried to let Karen basically explain herself, probably because they just wanted to hear her entire explanation and like rationale for her actions.
Right.
And then 67%, so technically most players, actually managed to spare Elizabeth's life at the end. And I did confirm there are some other options where she gets hurt by Daniel or killed by you or Daniel.
Okay.
So again, tried to commit as few offenses as possible in my playthrough. Overall, I feel like I acted pretty much like a morally upright man and brother. I even gave Jacob some cash the cash that I had made cutting weed buds to help his sick sister. I even did that.
What a brother!
So I'm a cool Sean.
You're a cool guy.
So that's episode 4.
It's been great so far.
Either way of what you're saying is funny to me.